Hello. Welcome to tonight's bedtime story by Lucid Tales. I hope your day has been peaceful and full of warmth. But whether it has been sunny skies or rolling thunderheads for you, it's time to relax now. Find somewhere comfortable, maybe your bed or a favorite armchair, and make sure you're ready for sleep. Gently roll your head on your neck if you can, and feel the freedom in your muscles, the little loosening that means it's time for bed. Tonight's story is a Norse tale of when Thor almost married a giant. Back in the days of yore, back before even your grandmother's grandmother was a twinkle of a thought in a dreamy eye, back when the Aesir sat on high in lofty Asgarde, Thor slept. Thor slept heavily, as solid men do, and while awake he could level mountains, asleep he was as the dead. While Thor lay in his deep and snoring sleep like the roots of a mountain, someone came creeping like a thief in the night, and stole away with Thor's mighty hammer, Mjolnir. When Thor awoke and discovered the loss of his most prized possession, his greatest weapon, he was incandescent with rage. The sun fled before his wrath and hid behind the horizon. The clouds panicked and crashed into one another, splitting apart and gushing great torrents of rain. The humans below in Midgard cried to one another that the sky was falling down upon their heads. Thor, when at last he grew weary of rage, vowed to get back his hammer no matter the cost, and summoned Loki, the great trickster whose thoughts ran fast as wildfire and just as willful. The reckless, wily god had as many tricks as a net has knots or a fire sparks, and if anyone could find Thor's hammer, it would be him. Thor told laughing Loki what had happened, and in a heartbeat Loki was at Freyja's chamber door, asking her if she would kindly, please, lend him her falcon dress just one more time, to aid him in discovering the hiding place of the thief of Thor's hammer. And Freyja of the flaxen hair, Freyja of the harvest and rich, fertile soil, Freyja, our lady of cats, she replied, "That I will, Loki, even were it silver or gold, for Mjolnir is too great a loss to be borne." And so Loki swathed himself in Freyja's falcon dress, and thus clad in feathers he winged his way across the sky like a swift sure arrow, and made his way to Jotunheimr. And there, on a great hill, in a great hall, sat a great giant, Thrym, making gold chains for his dogs. When Loki alighted beside him, wise Thrym knew him immediately. "What news of the gods?" he asked calmly, never stopping in his work. "And of the elves?" "The gods are far from well," replied Loki, "and the elves little better. As well you know, Thor's great hammer, Mjolnir, is missing from Asgarde." "It is," Thrym said pleasantly. "I have buried it 8 miles deep, and it shall not be seen, nor found, nor returned, until Freyja is my wife, and I have her magic necklace Brisingamen in my hand." And so Loki took off in a flurry of feathers and winged his way across the sky like a swift sure arrow, and made his way back to Asgarde. "What news of my hammer?" asked Thor. "The giant Thrym has buried it 8 miles deep," Loki replied, shucking Freyja's falcon dress and returning to his usual form. "And he says you will not see it, nor find it, nor have it returned, until he has Freyja for his wife, and her magic necklace Brisingamen in his hand." "Then there is nothing for it," Thor said. "Freyja must marry the giant." And so they went to Freyja's home and spoke with her. "Freyja," said Thor, "take your bridal veil and set a pretty cap upon your head. Choose for yourself a wedding dress with flowers and precious gems embroidered upon the hem. Let Brisingamen, the wondrous work of dwarves, shine upon your breast. You must marry the giant Thrym before he will return my hammer. He is buried at 8 miles deep, and he says we will not see it, nor find it, nor have it returned until he has you as his wife, and holds Brisingamen in his hand. So with smiles and grace make ready for your wedding day. But Freyja of the flaxen hair and the good rich soil would not be made to wed against her will, and instead took her necklace in her hand and whipped Thor with it as though he were a disobedient dog. Wed? To a giant? For your mighty hammer? Marry him yourself if you have the courage, or you had best start digging. Thor went to appeal to the other gods, and they to Freyja, but she would not budge, and they could not make her wed against her will. At last, Golden Heimdallr, the sleepless watcher of the worlds, made a suggestion. Why, Thor, do you not take Freyja's suggestion? Take the bridal veil, set a pretty cap upon your head, choose a wedding dress with flowers and precious gems embroidered upon the hem. Let Brisingamen, the wondrous work of dwarves, shine upon your breast. With smiles and grace make yourself ready for your wedding day. Now Thor was outraged by the suggestion, and drew in a mighty breath to refuse Heimdallr. But before he could speak, Loki, that laughing trickster, stepped forth. I will be your bridesmaid, Thor. Let us go to your wedding together. And Thor, knowing that there was no other choice, no other way to prevent the giants from being soon in Asgarde, wielding Mjolnir themselves and laying waste to even the palace's very walls, he assented and took the bridal veil. The goddesses set a pretty cap upon his head. Freyja chose a wedding dress for him, with flowers and precious gems embroidered upon the hem. Then she placed Brisingamen, the wondrous work of dwarves, around his neck so that it shone upon his breast. Truly you're the loveliest bride I ever did see, said Loki, as he too donned dress and fine cap and made himself into a maid. And together they rode in Freyja's fine chariot drawn by her beloved cats, all the way to Jotunheimr and Thrym's great hall. Upon their arrival, Thrym threw wide his doors and welcomed his bride and her maid into his hall. But Thor, for fear of his thunderous voice, did not say a word. Why does she not speak? Thrym asked of Loki the maid. Quicker than sparks off flint, Loki replied, Ah, my lord, so excited was she to come to the land of the giants that she has not said a word in 8 days, and fears her voice might be rough and unpleasant to your ears. And Thrym was satisfied, and ushered them in to sit at the groaning table, where Thor ate to himself an entire ox, 8 salmon, and many other dishes besides set out. He quenched his thirst with 3 barrels of mead, and Thrym marvelled at his bride's appetite. Who ever saw a bride with such great hunger and deep thirst? He said, amazed. But Loki, again quicker than sparks catch tinder, said, Ah, my lord, so excited was she to come to the land of the giants that she has neither eaten nor drunk in 8 days, and is no doubt famished. And Thrym was satisfied, and lifted his bride's veil to behold her beauty. But Thor's eyes glowered like a sky about to shatter into storm, and Thrym recoiled. What bride ever had eyes so red, a brow so furled, and lips so drawling? He asked. Quick as flames devour the hay, Loki the bridesmaid replied, Ah, my lord, so excited was she waiting for her wedding day to dawn that she did not sleep in 8 whole nights. And Thrym was satisfied, and ordered the great Mjolnir to be brought in and laid across his bride's lap, that the wedding might be blessed. And at last, once the priest had brought the hammer to Thor and laid it across his lap, Thor took up mighty Mjolnir in his fist, and cast off the bridal veil and the pretty cap, and laid about him with the hammer and that wedding dress with flowers and precious gems embroidered upon the hem, so that not a giant remained alive in that place. And so Loki and Thor returned triumphant to Asgarde, with Mjolnir, Brisingamen, and a wedding dress, with flowers and precious gems embroidered upon the hem. Good night. Sleep well, and I will see you soon for another bedtime story.